I don't think it's ever rung during a broadcast, but I'm always scared that it will. Not that this is the most professional thing in the world. How's the sound out there, people? Is it all working okay? All right, so let me just check. We are apparently live on YouTube, Facebook, personal group and page, LinkedIn, personal, and on the Twitters, which is awesome. I don't know if you know, but I've had a few issues with Twitter lately, streaming to them because of their changes. And yeah, we're in there. That's good. Okay, so what I wanted to do today, if you haven't met me before, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can put this one up. Yeah, it worked. My name's Laurel Papworth of laurelpapworth.com, and I do the social media news every Monday at 10:45 a.m. Okay, 10:52 Sydney time. And the deal is we both catch up on social media news for the week, and I test new software, new hardware, new configurations. I opened up OBS Project, which is one of the tools that I use to create or to show straps like this, and I don't know, countdowns and things like that. And it said that there was a new update. And I thought, oh yeah, I love new updates. Let me update and then I can test it on you guys. And then I thought, no, I don't want to actually install it without at least a quick non-live test a few minutes before I actually start streaming. So although you are my guinea pigs, I do think of you. So today is social media news. Thursdays are lectures, which are more structured. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. That's good. Just checking the comments here because we are live on 4, 5, 6 platforms, something like that. So today, Thursdays, structured lectures. Thursday, I want to talk to you not so much a lecture, not like a university lecture like I've been doing, like how to write a social media strategy for government, or how to do campaigns for non-profits, or how to do targeting audiences for universities. It's not a university lecture style. I'm simply going to talk you through some of the tools that I use as a social media manager, content creator, and corporate trainer, mentor, something like that. Not just corporates, everybody. I mentor everybody, but primarily government and corporate seems to be where most of the work comes. So that's Thursday. What social media tools, what dashboards do I use? Having said that, today I'm going to walk you through the new setup that I've done with Feedly, and we'll talk about that. Let's go and have a look at that one now. Where do I want to be? I want to be in the top right. All right, let me just make sure I can see everything and that you can see everything. I'm wearing bright red today. There's nothing quite like wearing a Target thermal underwear, corset top thing, I don't know, from Target with vintage Christian Dior. So eclectic mix. I bet there's nobody else wearing exactly what I'm wearing today. And I've got the snowy background because it's going to snow up here in the Blue Mountains, a couple of hours out of Sydney, 100 kilometres. Tomorrow, I think, or maybe it's the day after. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's have a look here. So what I've done with Feedly is where you bring in everything you want to monitor. So it can be sections of newspapers, like if you don't want the sports section, don't bring that one in. But you could bring in the business section or just the section just simply on social media, which is what I do. I also have Google search. I bring in Facebook pages. I bring in Twitter lists. Like if I put all my politicians on a list, I can bring in and see what they're all saying. Competitors, different types. So what I did on the weekend was I was using this, a folder which was called something like vendors, official social media companies. So I had Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and their official sources in here. And I call them vendors because as far as I'm concerned, they're selling me stuff. So in the scheme of B2B networking, vendors supply to you, you have staff you're monitoring and maybe competitors and peers that you're monitoring, and then you're monitoring clients that you provide services to. So I'm monitoring all of them. So vendors is social media companies, but I split them up because I found that I was focusing on Facebook because there was way more stuff for Facebook than there was for the others. So I've put these company folders together. Company, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And then I bring in, for instance, developer news. So 4 days ago, they talked about F8. If you know Apple's framework, iOS, F8 is Facebook's network. So Facebook is actually thousands of apps on a framework, more than thousands actually. So if I go here, you'll see what I've done. I went to developers.facebook.com/blog. I don't know how clearly you can see that. Probably not if you're on an iPhone. And I copied that link, or else I can go to, if you can find the actual RSS feed, it's that orangey logo. Can you see it here? I'm whizzing around. You copy that, and then you paste that into Feedly. And then every time they post on that blog, you get the updates in your dashboard. It just means you don't have to bookmark 10,000 links and then never look at them again. You can just come in here. So that's developer news. What is the F8 key, by the way? Oh, for me, it's the play button on my keyboard. I don't know why they chose F8 or Fate, but anyway. If I go to About Facebook, and then I click on that one, you'll see that it's the WordPress blog for Facebook's, I think it's their media one. Who can remember? And then I've got, the newsroom. Facebook has 2 media. They have 4 media, so how journalists and editors can use Facebook and instant stories and things like that. And then they have a newsroom where they're putting out information. So we've got here in the newsroom, in response to Oversight Board, Trump suspended for 2 years, will only be reinstated if conditions permit. So what I do is I look at this and then usually I'll read it through, and I've read these particular stories through since the story broke a few days ago. And heightened penalties for public figures during times of civil unrest and ongoing violence. Okay, so this, for me, one of the issues between news and opinion is I've got a lot of opinions and a lot of industry knowledge. I'm a social media expert who's, helping companies and organisations and government decide on these kind of challenges they're facing. Florida's bringing in a law about, they call it deplatforming politicians. I do have an issue with this. If it's not illegal, then corporate America, Facebook Inc., but definitely corporate America, should not be responsible for censoring politicians. If it's legal, it's allowed. Full stop. It's not up to a platform to decide whether a politician can say or not say something, and they should be given an exemption from basic terms and conditions. On the other hand, if it's not illegal, and it should be illegal, it's up to government to fix their regulatory. Why this stuff is allowed, I don't know. If it's not allowed, then there needs to be a method for removing that politician from office. And we can say, they were voted in, but they were voted in before they broke the law. Or if they broke the law, they shouldn't have been voted in. To me, it's pretty obvious. So what government's doing is they're defaulting on their regulatory requirements and forcing platforms to police politicians. And once you slip down this slippery slope, then what you have is Facebook enforcing their version of censorship, whatever that may be, in Australia, New Zealand, China, Middle East, Israel, I'm going to separate those two, Europe, Antarctica, wherever you like. And anytime they don't like a situation, they can enforce the penalties. So, not a fan of this, because heightened penalties for public figures during times of civil unrest and ongoing violence. Is that what, Hong Kong, Burma, Myanmar, whatever? I don't know. There are people out there that know this stuff way more than me, but I'm just saying, if government are not willing to step up, then why are we allowing, and can we really trust corporate America to make these decisions for us? And I'm going to go with no. All right, let's keep going. What's the next thing on here? So what else I've done with Feedly? Or when I click on the top folder, I get a feed of all of these. So Facebook pages. So there's a education on Facebook. Let me just show you this one. So I've got a Facebook page. You can like the page or not like the page. It doesn't make any difference. And then I pull that page in, and that allows me to identify what's happening on a Facebook page. Otherwise, I just click on the folder and I can skip through the news. Now, it gives me the 3 most popular. And obviously the news about Trump being deplatformed is popular. F8 refresh about developers is popular. And I would have thought that maybe Trump closing down his blog would have been popular. Oh no, it won't be in this one because this is just Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. So I haven't built it out completely, but I need to go in and add more links. So I've got Facebook Australia, Facebook Marketing, Australia Pacific, non-profits on Facebook, education on Facebook, the Instagram blog, developer news, developer. Anyway, somebody asked me how I set up my news for these live sessions, and this is what I do. I'm trying to be organized. Hussam Bisri, hi Sam, LinkedIn live feed is so slow, much better here on Facebook. LinkedIn doesn't give their live feed any love. I don't know why. I do know why. I think it's because LinkedIn is not classically a video or visual feed. People on LinkedIn are typically text, what the data set calls text story types. Only about 12% will be visual story types. I know people like to put up, when you look at images on LinkedIn, lots of people like to put up images. They always have tons of text on them. That's why, text story types. Let's have a look at the LinkedIn one, just in case you're looking at grabbing a Feedly and adding some links. I forget how much the free version is. I think I pay $50 a year for the paid version. And the free version, you might get 5 folders or 20 feeds or something, I don't know. But try it free first. So I've got a Twitter feed for LinkedIn. And something to remember. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Tag a coworker you're excited to see in the office when you get back. Okay. I might tag a client. I like my clients. Where was I? Oh, yes. Every platform markets their platform. Every social media platform markets on social media, using social media on other social media platforms. So you'll notice that LinkedIn is on Twitter. You'll notice that Facebook is on SlideShare. It's also on LinkedIn. It's also on, I don't know why I haven't got the YouTube one on here, but they have a YouTube channel too. So LinkedIn has a Facebook page and they have a LinkedIn help channel on YouTube, which they haven't done anything since October last year. That's pretty bad. I'm almost certain I know, they've got another LinkedIn channel, which I haven't added. So you just go in and add all these and you'll find from time to time they do change their channels. By the way, Sam, thanks for that. I appreciate it. And then Twitter has a lot of Twitter channels. If you're ever wondering how many social media channels you need, go and have a look at Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter and see how many they have. They understand the right message to the right audience at the right time, and you can't do that if you're doing broadcast. So there's a Twitter YouTube channel. I haven't seen Twitter on LinkedIn. I see Facebook all the time. So Twitter, oh, goodness me, let me just see if I can go here and do okay, I've only just added them and they haven't tweeted since the weekend, which is kind of understandable. So Twitter Blue is the new subscription program destined to make everybody blue. And it allows you to undo a tweet, which you can do for free if you want to delete it and then recreate it. Bookmark folders, which I think are called collections. I use third-party tools for that. And then reader mode, whatever reader mode is. And it's only available in Australia and in Canada. Reader mode. Keep up with Twitter threads by turning them into easy-to-read long-form text. I think that's to have a chargeable commodity, service, function, feature. English. When people say, roll this up, I think they say on Twitter, meaning I want to follow the whole thread, and then they get given the link that allows them to read it in long form. So I think what they're doing is they're hijacking those kind of services. Twitter has a really poor history of working with their developers and third-party partners. So they've been sued and lost the case because they kept hijacking good ideas. So I think this is an example of it. Twitter doesn't know how to charge for their service. Now, they're offering freemium, which I'm fine with. I don't like it when something goes from free to paid. I think it creates a really poor background, a poor brand relationship. And yes, I'm looking at you, Slide Shop / what are they called? Chroma AI, where they changed their name to Chroma AI, called themselves a Slide Shop company, and then didn't grandfather in any of the plans that people were on. You just got to go pay for it again. Those kind of things are really such a poor idea because you're relying on social for people to recommend you, and they're not going to recommend you if you do that kind of thing. So what is the value of that one? This is good for corporates. Corporates won't mind, and it's not going to cost them a lot of money, because if you have invested a lot of time and energy into building your network and engagement in your network, and you're tweeting all day long, and you've got people creating content to go up on Twitter and the other platforms, you may have hundreds of likes and favorites and comments and shares and things like that, and then you notice a spelling error, so you want to fix it. So if you're a celebrity, a brand, government, you need to be actually in Australia, it's against the regulations to revise your tweet, or to revise social media. Most politicians ignore it. But you could potentially fix things. I'm concerned because if somebody says, I don't want to be controversial here, I hate the colour red. they can then revise their tweet and say, I don't hate the colour red, and then all the comments are nonsensical. I wanted to see more on collections. I don't know if that's like bookmark folders, but anyway, you get the general idea. So there's your Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. And I'm obviously going to add in TikTok and any other platform that comes and goes. Talking of going, maybe Clubhouse. Audio is such a small community of people who are interested in chat shows. I need to look up those numbers. I did once before. I looked up chat talk shows and radio and talk show podcasts and things like that back when I was looking at doing a call-in podcast, and the numbers just didn't support my audience. My audience are visual. So dashboards. Oh, what are you doing there? You need to move. Let me just do that now, actually. I can move to... Oh yeah, it's already there. So we've got the Feedly blog, Hootsuite, Promo Republic, the social media marketing and management dashboard, whatever that is. Sprout Social twice, not sure why. I may have actually chosen a particular category. Are they the same? No, they must be different. Okay. And then Agora, Pulse, Buffer, and I'll just keep adding the dashboards in here. And then that way I can click on dashboards and we can see. I've been really trying to get people off of Sprout. I've been pretty good at doing it, particularly with government, I think they did a big push into government, so I had to do a big push back. Come on Thursday, 1 p.m. Thursday, I'm doing a lecture on the products that I use, and I might throw a few in that I don't use and why I don't use them. Experiment, do long captions get engagement on Instagram? I already know the answer to that. It's no. And whatever their experiment is, it would have been too small a sample size. So we call this anecdotal. When you actually look at the algorithm and then you look at what Adam Mosseri and some of the other developers, and Adam Mosseri is the head of the feed, he said that they definitely split up audiences into text story type and visual story types. The only way you would get high engagement with long text posts, and there's long text posts work fine on Facebook with the text story type. Instagram doesn't tend to attract text story types. It's kind of like people who like magazines versus people who like books, people who want to read long form Washington Post articles, and other people who'd rather watch a video documentary on it. And yes, we do straddle both, but we tend to have a preference. So I should read that one. I will read it. You guys can read it too. So that's kind of what I've done with Feedly. I've set up the dashboard so I can go into each one and then quickly see the news. I do have an issue with Feedly, which is very difficult, which is I can't say mark all unread. I really want to be able to say, I need to see everything again, and I can't. It vanishes. And I might have meant to say read it later or something, but it's gone. So, but other than that, it's good. I think that's all I want to cover today. So yes, just as a wrap up, this is Feedly. We looked at Twitter Blue, which is the paid for service in Australia and Canada, which is coming to the rest of the world. I didn't look at anything on LinkedIn except tag a coworker if you're excited to see them when you get back. And then we have here on Facebook about Chomp being deplatforming and F8 Fate Developers Conference. I do want to point out with this that if you're a social media strategist, social media manager, is saying to you that you can't use third-party tools for scheduling, they're wrong. How do I know they're wrong? Because Mark Zuckerberg takes time out every single year to talk to the third-party developers and then run a conference for them in the same way that Apple has an Apple Developers Conference to support their developers. They have online communities, they have Facebook groups you can join, they have all the tools online, all to help third-party developers. And so my question back to the social media manager would be, if you think Facebook is not supporting third-party developers, then why would they have a developer program? And also, if you go to marketing partners, which is their other word for third-party developers, the Hootsuites of the world, you can put in the tool that you're thinking of using, and Facebook will tell you what they've been authorized for, meaning they're on the program to get all the updates. If you're not on the program, or if the tool you're using is not on the program, you can wake up one day and the tool doesn't work until the developer fixes it. If they are on the program, they're given a heads up 6 months, 9 months, a year before the changes to the API come. The API is how Facebook publishes information to third-party developers and allows third-party developers to publish information back. This is the simplest way I can say what an application programming interface is. And that's another thing. If Facebook didn't like third-party developers, they would shut their API down. They wouldn't allow the programs to come in. They would physically block them. You've probably heard of third-party developers that have run into trouble with I don't know what the term, I do know what the term is, I've forgotten, but where they've sort of crashed the API or they've done something inappropriate and they get blocked from using the API, or a block is put on them so that they can only make calls every, 100 a minute or something. It's like when you try to unfollow too many people on Twitter and then you get suspended. I don't know how long for now. I think it used to be a couple of hours, and it went to 24 hours, and then it moved back again. I mentioned the fact that Twitter doesn't support its developers very well. It does have a new API coming out, API version 2, but I suspect that that's a full upgrade to take into account the decommissioning, sunsetting of Periscope, and probably also Twitter Blue, that they need to build into the API. Is the person behind the paywall and can access these tools or not? So I have a question for you. Are you going to pay for Twitter Blue? I'm thinking of it. I don't know how much it is. I guess I should probably look that up. Let's have a look. How much is Twitter Blue? Monthly subscription services. Oh, it's iOS. Oh, I don't use Twitter on iOS. Not directly. I suppose I could install the app and then pay for it and then log out. I don't know. If you purchase Twitter Blue on iOS and log into the same account on Twitter for Android, you may be able to access some features. We recommend only using Twitter Blue on iOS during the limited release in Canada and Australia. So we are the guinea pigs, just like you're my guinea pigs. That's good. Is this favourites put into folders? Because I'd rather lists were updated. Anyway, how do we sign up? So I've got to go onto my iPhone, use Twitter app on iPhone, sign up, and then report back in again Maybe Thursday, because I'm doing a thing on Thursday, tools and stuff. Anyway, it's 11:20. I hope you found that interesting. Thank you for staying with me while I tested a few things. I think the sound is better at the moment. Sam, thanks for letting me know the LinkedIn live feed is slow. I don't think that would be Restream connecting to the LinkedIn API. I think that's just LinkedIn being LinkedIn as usual. I'll have to repost the YouTube one to LinkedIn if it's really bad LinkedIn and it's really slow. I have on Facebook, if you go to facebook.com/silkcharm, which is my training page, I have an event coming up at the end of July, which is private. It's not a public one. And we're doing a social media audit, and you'll be given downloadable documents and you'll be given homework. And I'm charging for it. I think it's $7 at the moment, $8, and it goes up to $15 the week before. And the reason for that is it's a paywall so that I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had to block people on here sometimes because they're naughty. So I figure if somebody wants to pay $7 to be naughty and then boot it out, that's their call. But the event will be only run through the Facebook paid event tutorial thing. Anyway, go to facebook.com/silkcharm, have a look at events and you'll see it there. How to do a social media audit. This is the sort of thing that I normally do this way with my private clients when I do one-on-one mentoring, but I wanted to open it up to a small group that would be interested in doing it. I don't know. Maybe. And the thing is, if nobody's interested, that's good. I get to have that hour off, and I know that's not something that's going to grab people. I am going to offer a code in that one for people to do the Facebook events with me, and only people who come to that live will get that code. So the next one is on Facebook ads, and we're going to cover a whole range of things on ads, including the new pixel remarketing, retargeting, if that's something you're interested in. Yes, Sam, thanks. Okay, thanks very much, guys, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday on social media tools that I use. And then I'm also going to next Monday be using and testing out the new OBS project, which I'm really excited for because it allows me to create these kind of straps dynamically on the fly, so to speak. So I can just type them up really quickly and have them all ready to go before my session. In case you're wondering, but that one and that one, I have to create them in Final Cut Pro, animate them, download them as a movie video, and then put them up. And it's just... All right, thank you. And if you have any questions that you would like me to answer or a session that you'd like me to do, especially for you, let me know. Particularly give me an example account and or an industry. I don't like just doing how to do a Facebook ad. I'd rather do how to do a Facebook ad for blah blah industry and blah blah page or something. I don't know. All right, thanks guys. See you on Thursday or Monday.